So, students, today we all will be talking about the obesity. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by the obesity? Come on, fast. If you know that what is obesity, tell me. In this lecture, we will be talking about two aspects. One, we will be talking about the obesity, and thereafter, also we will be talking about the BMI and a little bit about controlling the obesity. So, tell me what is the obesity? So, obesity is a condition in which excessive fat is deposited in the body. Now, see, student, if we will talk about the fat, so fat is nothing but the saturated fat. This is the composition which is really very important for our body. So but what happened, the extra fat that stores in our body, it creates problem. So how can we calculate this fat, or this amount of fat is extra or not required to our body? So when we talk about the normal condition, human body, they it consists of, in case of male, 3% of the fat, and in case of the female, we have 12 to 15% of the essential fat. Now, why this fat is required in our body? So the body cells, cell membrane, bone marrow, heart, lungs, kidney, liver, spleen, intestine, skeletal muscle, central nervous system, all of this consists of the fat, and really this fat is very important for the physiological function. So when this fat is excessive in the amount, that means more than 3% in the case of the male and more than 12 to 15% in case of a female, it stores in our body. So that particular situation causes the obesity. So where does this fat stores? The major site of the storage of the fat in the subcutaneous layer of the skin. With increase of the age, amount of stored fat also increases. That means our bodies do not digest that much of food, and or that fat is simply stored in our body. But do you know that the essential requirement of the fat in the adult as well as the young age and every person remains the same? That is the males 3% and the female 12 to 15%. Adult male with the 15 to 20% and adult female can contain 20 to 25% of the storage fat, and this fat creates the obesity. Now let us discuss about the causes of the obesity. Just a minute. Now, what are the causes of the obesity? There are various causes, like genetic cause. Genetic cause means we have special type of the genes in our body which helps to store the fat more and more special way, or you can say specifically they can store the fat. Now what are those genes? The genes which produces the LPL, that is lipoprotein lipase. So the people, those who have the more and more activity of the lipoprotein lipase, they are very efficient to the store fat. Now people say ना, अरे साथ ही में खाते हैं, इतना ही खाता है, ये तो मेरे से ज्यादा खाती है, मगर इसके बॉडी पे कुछ दिखता नहीं है, मैं तो हवा भी खाती हूँ तो मोटी हो जाती हूँ. You might have heard certain type of the terms, isn't it? So why this is happening, that the one person is eating the same calories and lean, the other person, if they are not at all eating so much, they are getting fat and fatter day by day. So the reason is that these people have more and more lipoprotein lipase. That's why. Now obese people always have, the most important point you will remember, they have more LPL activity in their fat cells than the lean people. Okay, then what is the next cause? That is the physiological factor. A physiological factor, age and sex. Like men, they are more prone to deposit fat on their belly region, their chest region. But when we talk about the female, so lower abdominal region, they store more and more fat, and even on their breast region, other reproductive areas, they store more and more fat. Dietary habits. Now, see, dietary factor when intake of fatty substances more in the diet. So, definitely more and more fat will be deposited into the adipose tissue. Even overeating, irregular eating pattern, nibbling heavy junk food in between the meals, all this contributes to the obesity. कोई भी खा रहा है, चलो share कर देते हैं. So these habits are really very uh, main cause of creating the obesity. Alcohol consumption also. Now why? Because this alcohol consumption gives the empty calorie which results into the extra fat to the body. Now what are the other causes? Physical activity. Now we have more and more improved mode of the transportation. From the college gate till your home you are getting the transportation. So because of that we are becoming lethargic, we are not having any physical activity. More and more this machineries are there, more and more facilities are there. Even for second and third floor student, they don't want to climb up the stairs, they go by lift, right? So all this improvement into the lifestyle and all this luxury is make adding up into the lethargy. That means we are not at all ready to do the physical activity. Now there are certain the psychological factors, social and cultural influence. Now you might be thinking, ma'am, how the social and cultural influence, like attending parties, peer group pressure, religious parties. So all these parties they serve the food which is made up of with lots of ghee and oil. Even media play a very important role in promoting the fast food, junk food, which is usually loaded with the fats. Now we are just spending the time with friends, so we are watching the TV, we are playing the game, so that game never goes without the wafer and the junk food, right? Apart from there, there are the factors. Just a minute. There are factors. There hormonal influences are there, like condition which are related to the endocrine gland, like hypothyroidism. Student, you remember na, we all have discussed about all this while we were talking about the goiter. So hypothyroidism is one of the reason. Then Cushing disease, PCOD, that means polycystic ovarian disease. Then hypothalamic tumor. All this causes the weight gain. In females, sex hormone play a very important role into the weight gain. Weight gain in female is usually after the pregnancy. Then apart from the smoking, intake of drugs, then lack of education, even there are certain psychological factors are there, that the person they are often means psychologically they are bored, or you can say depressed, lonely, so they may tend to eat more. You are simply simple example, you are traveling for a longer distance, you are alone, so what to do alone? Chalo, open a chips packet, enjoy it. So there are certain psychological factor also which contributes for the obesity. Now what are the consequences of the obesity? Obesity is a really very great health hazard, and it can lead to many diseases or disorder. Functioning of the various vital organ like heart, liver, kidney, all this may be affected by the excess of fat in the body, because all these organs they are loaded with lots of fat. So how they will function? The weight bearing joints like knees, hips, ankle, all these are affected by the strain due to the excess fat. They are losing their you can say the movement or their elasticity, so because extra fat is deposited on all those areas. Obesity also leads to the lower fertility, because the reproductive area, reproductive organs, all these are just covered with all the fat parts. So because of that, the obesity also contribute for the infertility, especially in the case of the woman, because the reproductive part these are covered with the fat deposition. So these are the consequences of the obesity. Now how to control this fat? So that is another solution, that is the BMI, that is body mass index. Body mass index, it is a statistic. Now the credit for developing this statistic goes to the Adolf. Goiter, student note the name of the discoverer because that can be asked in the MCQ. It is important to remember. So Adolf Adolph Adolf Quetelet, that is Quetelet. So Adolf Quetelet, he was the one who has designed this BMI calculation statistic in the year 1900 for evaluating the body mass. Now see, he has given the standard formula. That means he did not make the separate formula for the male and the female. So it is not at all related to the gender. It uses the same formula for the man as well as woman, even in the children. Now BMI, how it is been calculated? It is a very simple formula. Nowadays even BMI calculators are easily freely available on internet. You can just put your weight and your height, you will get your BMI index. But remember a simple formula. So lifetime you and only you can calculate your BMI. So what is the formula? Weight in kilogram divided by height in meters square. I repeat, the formula is weight in kilogram divided by height in meter square. Now student, it is really important to remember this formula for exam point of view. Alright. Even the rate of BMI and its inference is also very important exam point of view. This can be asked into the MCQ. Even BMI as a descriptive question can be asked in examination. Alright. Now what is the BMI rate? So if any person's BMI is less than 18.5%, the person is underweight. The ideal weight or the normal weight is between the 18.5 to 24.9. Understood? And if the person's weight BMI rate is between the 25 to 29.9, the person is overweight but not the obese. Point to be remembered, 25 to 29.9, person is overweight but not obese. Anyone above the 30 is obese, but obesity is also having the classes like normal obesity class 1, or we can simply say the obese person. They are between 30 to 34.9. 35 to 39.9 will be considered as the obesity class 2. Between the 40 to 49.9, the person will be considered as the obesity class 3. And if BMI is more than 50%, it is going to be considered as super obesity. See student, BMI rate and inference is important exam point of view. MCQ can be asked from this. Now simple assessment of obesity is BMI. Other methods are also there. Once Adolf Quetelet has given his idea, other also has invented few idea for quantifying the fat into the body, like skin fold thickness, waist hip rotation, body composition analysis, that is BCA. All this can also be used for the assessment of the weight. Now how can we treat the obesity? Now simple thing, we know the cause of the obesity. Just now we have learned the cause of the obesity, in that some causes are not in our hand, but some are we can control. What can we control? By increasing the energy loss. Even we can count our dietary intake, how much food we are eating. So that is known as the diet planning. It is essential. Now, diet should be nutritionally adequate. Otherwise, you will get weakness. Most of the people, they just do the dieting without any medical help or without any advice from the expert. So they end up with the weakness and other issues. So make sure that whenever you are taking the diet, you should take the nutritionally adequate and the well balanced diet. Now 1 kilogram adipose tissue provides the 7,000 kilocalorie energy. Okay, 7,000 kilocalories. So decrease of 1,000 kilocalorie daily if you are reducing in your diet. Now see, nowadays it is very easy. Every packet you are eating or every food you are eating on that particular packets, you will observe that the calorie intakes is mentioned. So what you want to do, if you want to reduce 1 kg per week, so make sure every day you are decreasing 1000 kilocalorie diet in your whatever eating plans. Or if you simple way, if you are cutting 500 kilocalorie from your diet, so every week you will lose the half kg of the weight. So weight reduction program varies from person to person depending upon the sex, age and height, and even their level of the obesity, how obese. If we are simply overweight, no need to go for so fast weight loss reduction. Simply we can reduce the weight by just keeping eye on our fat intake. So a person can absolutely control that overweight. But if you are in any class of the obesity, obesity 1, 2, 3, super obesity, whatever, you have to go for the planned diet plan. Then a drastic reduction in the energy intake is absolutely not advisable कि मैं 1 week में 10 kgs lose करके बताऊंगी. Something should not be done because it may lead to the hunger, nervous exhaustion, weakness, and inadequacy of the other nutrient. Even gastroplasty, gastric bypass, liposuction are the surgical method to reduce the obesity. So all this can be done for the loss of your excess fat, because the essential fat, that is 3% in case of the male and 12 to 15% in case of female, is really very important. But other fat is absolutely not required. It is just stored in the body part that can be simply reduced by the adequate diet plan or simply walking, exercise. Now exercise also, make sure that you are not doing any exercise without advice of the expert, that make you pressure on your heart, or it may cause the other problem. So this is all about the obesity and BMI.